waifus, trade fights for better views. We both need something new. Maybe we should just tell them.
Hello, high-minded readers, and welcome to the Books and the Bees podcast. Just like bees play a crucial role in pollinating flowers and sustaining life, books pollinate minds and nurture the soul. We see the connection between the two, the delicate dance of ideas and stories that enrich our lives.
I'm Cody.
I'm Hailey.
Welcome to our podcast.
Welcome.
Hey, episode 39.
We're out here.
Week 2 of spooky season.
Yes.
We are here.
How are we already 2 weeks?
The weather's changing.
Into freaking October. Yeah.
Dude, I don't even know. Like, I'm already trying to figure out what I'm going to do for Christmas. Like, it's crazy right now.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
But the weather's changing. It's like frigid here in the morning and then like 75 in the afternoon. Oh, it's pretty wild right now. Yeah. Man. The leaves are getting ready to change. They're not really changed yet. So I'm patiently waiting because I literally there's like a forest basically surrounding my house and I cannot wait for the leaves to change because I really, really, really want to see it. And I'm so excited. That's
so exciting. That sounds so I feel like where you're at now is so classic fall, classic autumn, autumnal.
East Coast has the fall vibes for sure.
Yes.
I think as somebody who grew up basically on the West Coast, I love the West Coast for the beaches and the palm trees and the sun vibes, but the East Coast fall time, school season, it's unmatched.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. Ugh.
Yeah. If only we were in Boston or
I was just gonna say.
New England, Salem, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Come on.
Yes.
Come on. Yeah.
Man.
They're lucky up there. I feel like I live in Virginia. I think I've said that before. It's weird that I'm so nervous about saying where I live, but yeah, Virginia I think is not characteristic fall, but because there's so many trees here, I just can't wait to see it.
Yeah. That's so exciting. How has it differed from where you used to live versus where you live currently? Is it similar at all or
it's weather, you mean?
Mm-hmm, yeah. And vibe.
The weather has been very similar, I would say.
Okay.
The humidity's different, but really it hasn't been that humid. I am more nervous about the hurricanes with Helene, which didn't really hit my part of Virginia very tough, but we did get a lot of rain from it.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, I guess, is rain. It rains way more often here. Seattle ain't got nothing on Virginia
That's
rain.
What I'm saying.
It is. Yeah. Seattle is not the rainy city. I don't know why we bitch so much because it freaking rains here all the time.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's so wet here. Yeah. It's insane. Seattle does not compare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's...
Yeah. We got. I think the West Coast needs to chill.
Yeah.
You guys don't know what rain is until you spend some time on the East Coast or even the Midwest.
Yeah.
The Midwest gets a shit ton of rain too.
That's what I'm saying. That's literally what I'm saying. And it's so funny that you're bringing that up because, and I think I've said this on the podcast before, but okay, I've been many a time on the West Coast. I'm not originally from the West Coast of Washington, or West Side, Seattle area, and that
West Side
general vicinity, and so yes, I feel everyone's always oh, must be so rainy there, and I'm hell no. We had so much more rain in freaking Illinois, southern. We were close to St. Louis, but we got so much fucking rain. It was, and when it did rain, it was like sheets of rain. It wasn't just
it's buckets.
A nice,
it's crazy.
Oh, this is nice little drizzle rain, or oh yeah, it's pouring, but then it eventually stops. No, this is torrential downpour for one whole day, and then it's rainy the next 3 days.
Yeah.
And it's yeah. I don't ever want to hear another West Coast Pacific Northwesterner talk anything mad shit about rain because y'all don't even know.
It's so true. It's so true. Fuck you guys. Yeah. You have no idea.
And I can say that because we're from the freaking Pacific Northwest, so
yeah. We also love you. So
yeah, we also love you.
Cool.
Don't hate me for saying that.
No, we watch the news here, and it's chance of scattered showers like almost every day.
Wow.
It's like, why am I even watching the news? Because for one, they're like, it could be sunny, but it could also rain. And I'm like, well, that doesn't help me at all, because like,
Thanks.
do I need an umbrella or do I not? Because that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
And
Thanks,
it's like,
meteorologist.
I guess I need one every single day. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. So yeah, it's way different. But it's so green. It's so pretty. I love the region that we're in. Yeah, it's nice. So the weather is not, but like temperature wise, it's not that different. That's where I was going with this. Temperature is basically the same. I think it's a little bit cooler here than it is on the West Coast, but that's because of hashtag global warming, hashtag climate change. So besides that, it's not that different, I would say.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's really cool, though. I'm glad it's not like vastly different, because I feel like that's another thing that they like don't tell you when you like move to another place is like, oh hey, the usual weather that you're used to is never gonna be the same.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I will say the only time I've experienced more rain than this was when I went to Hawaii. We went to the big island, Hawaii, and there's a dry side and a wet side because there's like basically a big mountain range / volcano on the middle of the island. And so on the left side, it's dry because the clouds come from the right side and they get basically stopped by the mountains. And very little rain makes it over onto the west side. So we were at a conference on the west side, and we were like, oh, let's go check out the east side of the island, because it's like, I don't know, an hour drive across. And you cross over the mountains and it's like completely wet, and it literally rains there every single day. Like, no matter what, it's just raining all the freaking time, and it's insane. That's the only rain I've experienced that's worse than Virginia in like consistency, I would say.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I would hate living. It's called the Hilo side. That's in main town, and it's like literally it just rains every day. But it is very green, so like it's beautiful. It's Hawaii, so you can't really complain that much. But yeah, it's like rain all the time.
Dang, that's so crazy to think about. That is a lot of rain.
It's weird. It's weird. Yeah.
Man. Ugh.
Island life, you know.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Virginia / Washington podcast here.
I know, right?
So, yeah.
We love it.
You know what really sucks? And this is very niche. I used to have to only scroll to the eyes on like things where it was like asking you which state you lived in. Now I got to scroll all the way fucking down to the bottom. And it's like, bro, this sucks.
Welcome to the club. It's the worst.
It's like there's 50 frickin' states, man. It's like all the way down to the bottom. It's like, shit, bro, this sucks. I don't like it. The only like Washington and Wyoming basically are the only ones that have it worse. It's like, oh
so
God.
Funny. It's so true though.
That's very minor.
It is, but that is like so true, and it is kind of like niche because you really don't think about like imagine being someone from like Alabama or like Colorado or some shit.
Yes.
And you're like, oh yeah, like I just scroll down a little bit. And then, honest to God, I usually just take the little bar thing and I just, like, hit the bottom because I'm like...
I need to do that more. I
already know. But when we moved to Illinois, I was doing the same thing. I was like, oh, shit, now I gotta go look actually for my state because it's not at the bottom.
Yeah, Idaho would usually be, like, one scroll down.
Yeah. And
it'd be like, perfect, okay, got it. And now it's Virginia. It's like 5 scrolls down. It's like, oh, my God, this is terrible. Yeah. Yeah. First world problems.
For sure. U.S. problems, truly.
U.S. problems. Yeah.
Hashtag relatable.
Hashtag relatable. Yeah. Very U.S. centric here.
Yes, very. Yeah. Sorry to if we have listeners or if people that we know are listening from other countries. My apologies for having to listen to us. Yeah. Banter about.
I'm sure they're like, fuck you. Every time we have to search for a country that's not the United States, we have to like manually type it in.
Right? It's so funny. How we just like, I've always thought that was so weird how maybe it's just a preset. I don't know. If you're living in another country, listener, please let me know if when you go to like look up your state, is it already selected at the very top, or do you actually have to like go physically scroll to find not your state, your country, or do you have to go find your country? Because, like, when I go look up, like, let's say we're putting in my, like, postcode or something, my postal address, and USA is always at the top. Like, it's like USA, United Kingdom,
same,
some other random ass country, don't remember. And it's always at the top. So is that also a thing?
Yeah.
In other countries?
I don't know. I know, like, sometimes when I go to, like, science conferences where there's more international people, it won't be. But then, like, it's usually, it's either, it's at the top, and it's like United States, UK, maybe, like, I don't know, Germany or something. And then it'll go in alphabetical order below that. Or it's just all in alphabetical order, and you scroll down to the very end, and it's the United States. But, yeah, it's definitely, like, definitely a U.S. problem having to put in your state.
Well, there's 50 of them, so, you know, we kind of have our
That's true.
work cut out for us.
There's a lot. I did get my Virginia license in the mail yesterday.
Oh, shit.
So I'm officially a Virginian.
I was just going to say, you're an official Virginian?
Virginian.
Virginian. Wow.
Virginian. Yep.
Better than an Idahoan?
Idahoan.
Idaho. No.
Idaho. Oh my god, I can't tell you how many times I've heard that joke.
It's a classic.
Mostly from other Idahoans, ironically.
That's so funny.
But yeah, we love it. Do you know what else I love?
What?
The books we're reading right
Hell
now.
yeah.
Should we get into it?
Yes.
Let's do it. Haley, what are you reading?
I'm still reading the same thing that I was reading last time.
Fair.
Yeah.
It's been a rough couple months. It's been a rough, like, we're off on podcast recording days. Like, it's rough around here.
Yeah. Life has been lifing this year, I feel like. And as we're like approaching the end of the year, sorry, excuse my sniffles if our listeners are hearing me sniffle. Like, I feel like as we approach the end of the year, it's like, holy shit, so much has happened in this last year. And especially in the last half, and I feel like since my husband and I moved back from Illinois, our life has just been like on freaking like Mach speed. It's dialed up to 10, and I'm like, okay, I love the 10 vibes, but can we maybe like reel it in so I can have like maybe like an hour to read by myself every day would be nice.
Yeah.
It's like Jesus, but
it's true though. Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm reading the same thing, and I'm reading one other thing, but I'm gonna mention it in our topic. So yeah,
Yeah.
Not gonna talk about it right now.
Thrown in the Dark by A.K. Caggiano. Is that what you're reading?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yep.
Sweet. Yeah, it's been a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just now getting like to enjoy reading again, which is nice. But
It's nice.
yeah, there for a while it's been kind of tough. Yeah. Tough times.
C'est la vie, man. C'est la vie.
C'est la vie.
What are you getting into?
Well, like I said, I'm like Haley too. It's been a rough end of the year so far, but busy end of the year, I should say. And so I'm reading like smaller books, like comic books have kind of been dominating lately, and I've talked about a couple. But this week I finished what's called The Night Guest by Hildur Knútsdóttir. I am sure I butchered that. I did try to look up pronunciation. I couldn't figure it out. This is a book from Iceland that was translated from Icelandic by Robinette Kowal, who happens to be one of my favorite authors in the sci-fi world. This is actually a horror book about, and it's a novella. It's really short. I think it's like 150 pages.
Oh, okay.
I read it on my Kobo, so I'm not sure how long it is, but it's not long at all. And it's basically about this woman who wakes up every morning super tired. She can barely move her arms. She feels like she's really sore. Yeah, that's like super relatable. And she goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "You're fine. Like, shut up, woman. Like, you're totally fine."
Love that.
Basically, it wasn't like that exaggerated, but it was basically that. Yeah. And then she like goes to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist is like, "Oh, like it could be depression, blah blah blah." Well, it turns out that when she happens to leave her like Apple Watch or Fitbit or whatever, when she wakes up in the morning, she realizes she has 40,000 steps that she did overnight, or 20,000 steps that she did overnight. Nope. Or she has dirt under her fingernails, or she's got something happening. And so it's a very, very good horror novella. I was super enthralled. It really takes you on a journey. And I feel like you get a lot of unanswered questions in this novella, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. And here I think it works really well. It's super good. I picked it up because I heard about it on a podcast, and I'm a big fan of Mary Robinette Kowal. And I'm also trying to get my translated books in. So this checked a lot of boxes for me. It was super good. I would highly, highly recommend it for this time of year. It's definitely interesting, and I really liked it. So yeah, it's good. The other book I'm reading is kind of fitting for today's episode. So I'm going to talk about it at the top, but I might bring it back up later.
Oh yeah.
It's called Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. And it's about a gay screenwriter, or what do they call the TV show writers, like showrunners, like a TV show showrunner.
Yeah.
I think showrunner is the right word, but maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong on Instagram or email us. But he's running a show, and he's basically being told by the network directives to kill off his 2 lesbian characters in his latest TV show because the algorithm says it's great for views. And it's also kind of dealing with this like AI actor an actor who passed away. They're now using his AI identity. And this AI identity is nominated for an Oscar, and the screenwriter is also nominated for an Oscar. But what ends up happening when he's told by the executives to kill off his characters, he says, no, I don't want to do that. He now gets stalked by horror characters from his previous movies. One of them is called The Stranger, which this person has no eyelids and carries around a suitcase and rips. Yeah. And this person rips bones from people and then smokes them in a cigarette. So like super creepy. And it's multiple characters that follow him around, and it's really interesting. It's also pretty short. I think it's like 250 pages. I'm probably going to finish it tonight. It's really good. I'm definitely enjoying it. And it's one I've been wanting to read, but with everything that's been happening, I've been putting off my hold for it. And I just now started it, and I'm super stoked to finish it. Wow.
Both of those books sound so good. The first one literally sounds like my worst nightmare. No thank you. Not that the book doesn't sound very good, but like that literally sounds like the worst thing to ever happen.
It's intense. Yeah.
I would be interested to read it just simply to like know what happens, but oh my god, that sounds terrifying. Terrifying.
Yeah, it was quite the read, and I like I said, it's really short. I think I read it in less than 24 hours. I could have probably read it in one sitting, if I had the time to just sit there and do that. But yeah man. Yeah, I'm full in. This is spooky season. I'm here for it. This is what I live for. This is what I'm here for. Like, I cannot fucking wait.
Some good spooky season type stuff.
Yeah. Hailey, you ready to jump into beekeeping?
Yeah, let's.
Okay, great. Do you have any beekeeping?
I don't.
I don't. Well, I do have one, but it's kind of a light week for news. But I did go visit the Banned Wagon.
Yes.
Banned Wagon. We talked about it on episode 37, I want to say. Which was our latest Band's Book episode. It was so much fun. We went to Richmond and went to the Fountain Bookstore, which was such a cool bookstore. Very much horror themed for this time of year, which was great. Had a lot of genre fiction, which I loved. It was hard to walk away with just a few books. I did buy So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison, which is one of the books that I think I put in on my anticipated list.
Let's go.
Just came out. I can't wait to read it. I'm actually probably going to start it this weekend. It's really looking forward to it. And then me and my wife both got a free book from the Banned Wagon, which was Penguin Random House. Yeah, it was really fun. It's actually right here next to me. I got the Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe, which has won 1 million awards, including the National Book Award, the Stonewall Book Award, a Pulitzer Prize, and another award that I can't tell what it is based off this book cover, but it's another award, so that's very cool. So I'm really excited to read it. And then my wife got Handmaid's Tale, which is a
Let's
classic.
go.
So yeah, it was really fun. So way to go, Penguin Random House, for doing it. It was a very successful event. I think by the time this podcast airs, it'll be too late to visit the Banned Wagon because I think it ends on the 15th of October. But you can go ahead and thank them on Instagram or maybe see what they're doing next year because it was totally worth it.
Hell yeah. That's so cool. I'm so happy that you like got to go and experience that.
Yes, it was really cool. And Richmond was a cool city too. We didn't spend a lot of time there, but it was great. It was a good trip.
That's really cool. Was there a lot of people that showed, or was it like just
Oh yeah.
Good.
It was 4 hours, I think, and we
wow.
got there at the beginning. I think it was like 60 to 80 people there.
That's a pretty
when
good
we
turnout.
were there at the beginning. Yeah. Yeah, and we actually have pictures on our Instagram if you want to go check that out because Hailey was nice to put those up. Yeah, it was good. Really good.
Cool. That's so cool. Man, I wish that they were coming over to this side of the... Maybe they will eventually.
I hope next year they do... Yeah, that'd be fun.
A worldwide tour.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Especially for the states on the West Coast that are banning books Idaho, probably Wyoming.
Probably the Dakotas.
Definitely the Dakotas.
Probably Montana.
Yeah, Montana. Yeah, maybe Nevada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
There's definitely bands on the West. Utah. Utah for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, so they got to do that round too for sure. Maybe next year. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
We could host with them.
Yeah.
I'm
Let's do
manifesting
it.
that.
I'm just gonna contact them and be like, "Yo,
oh my gosh,
let's do an event together."
That'd be so cool.
It would be. It would be really cool.
I'd be so down for that.
I would be too. 100%. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'd love it.
Operation.
Yeah. So
get it over here in 2025. Let's go.
Yes, that was so much fun. I'm so glad we did it. It was great. We also we haven't done it yet, but we might do it soon. It's called the Green Valley Book Fair. That's about an hour north of where we are. And it's just a big barn, basically, books.
Wow.
Discounted, used books. And I guess they do it all year round. It's a pretty big deal over here in Virginia, so we're excited to go check that out too. So it's fun to be in a state that has more bookish options because Idaho they had good bookstores, but they, not as much for sure.
Yeah. And I feel, well, and I don't know how true this is for other states, but it really helps when your state or the city that you live in your state has a walkable area that you can just go and park downtown and then just walk stores.
Yeah.
And it you don't realize it until you don't have it, how important that is to have walkable town, city, whatever, in order to have those bookstores. So yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true. Yeah. Yeah, so that was great. I guess I have one more thing I could talk about is I think we've talked about how I'm a big fan of Reading Glasses podcast, and they're doing a readathon 2 days from now on Sunday where you read for 8 hours straight, and I'm going to participate in that. So I'm going to try to read as many books as possible on Sunday. So, and they're on the Pacific time zone. I think they're trying to do it 10 Pacific time, which would be 1 my time. So I'm going to start it earlier and end earlier, but I'm going to try to read for 8 hours straight, which I have been unsuccessful trying to do this before. So I'm going to really give it the old college try this time and get it done.
That's so cool. Are you going to have a nice little drink and some snacks?
Yes, I am.
Hell
I think it's going to be a coffee tea day, maybe a beer. I did get some local beer today.
Let's go.
So I might do that too, but yeah, I'm thinking coffee beer. It's going to be kind of a chilly weekend and might be a little rainy too. So
Perfect.
It's going to be perfect reading weather. Yeah.
Perfect recipe for a perfect day.
Totally.
Hell yeah.
Yep. So yeah, got some reading events happening, but not a lot of reading news. At least not that I saw that was something that was exciting to talk about.
Yeah, I really haven't been seeing anything either. It's just been, but I feel like, with like the current climate that we're in, literally and figuratively, it's just really, there's not a lot going on because I feel like there's so much happening IRL, so.
That's true. And I feel like most people are focused on publishing, like books are coming out right now because of the holidays coming up. So like we're not really talking about book events, we're talking about books coming out. So and there's definitely a lot of books coming out that are good, but it's hard to talk about those on beekeeping because we haven't read them yet. So
it's so true. I am excited. I guess I could have a little bit of beekeeping, but Emily McIntyre's book comes out I think in November.
Ooh.
I think it like her and Lila Sage both come out in November.
Oh, cool.
I'm stoked.
Wow.
So, if any of our listeners are also fans of either of those authors, or maybe want some really good book series, you should get those books. Just saying.
Yeah. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Really cool.
Yeah. Yay, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I love it when authors publish books that, like, when an author you love publishes books, like the best feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right.
Cool. Well, should we jump into our main event today?
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. So we're going to elaborate more on spooky season because it's October. Spooky season is the best season ever. And today we're going to kind of marry some spooky movies with some spooky books and to discuss books that might pair with movies and vice versa. So we each have two books/movies that we're going to talk about, but we might, open it up a little bit and see where it takes us. But we've got some recommendations for movies and books that we think you'll like. So Hailey, do you want to start with yours?
Yeah. So my first one it's called Dating Dracula by Kinsley Adams.
Great name. Great name for a book, by the way.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And also, I really love the author's name. Like, I don't know if that's their actual name or if that's just their, like, how some authors have a, what's that called?
Pseudonym.
Yes, that. But regardless, well done.
Kinsley is a great name.
Yes,
I like Kinsley.
Right? That's what I'm saying. But yeah, so, it's called Dating Dracula, and I mean, obviously, I'm going to talk about another Dracula thing because I think I just have a thing for vampires, to be quite honest. I've been reading a lot of vampire-forward books. I don't know if I said that in the last podcast, but I feel like I did, and I'm repeating it now. But so it's basically about a gal who is like what's the word? Not a fake, but like not a wannabe. What is that called? It's on the tip of my tongue. God, the ADHD brain today is really bad. The flu shot's just really not helping. By the way,
yeah, Hailey got a flu
yeah.
shot, and
I'm feeling it. So if I'm seem a little weird, that's why. It's like full-fledged hitting me right now, and also go get your flu shots. Anyways, if you can, and you're able, and all that other fun stuff.
Yeah.
But she wants to be a journalist, but she kind of like dabbles in it. Isn't really a full-fledged journalist, and she finds herself wanting to uncover like the seedy underworld of vampires because spoilers, I guess, kind of, not really. It's like in the first like chapter that it's mentioned. This world that this gal's live, it's modern, and they've uncovered that vampires have came out essentially, and they now live amongst us, sort of situation. And she's like trying to uncover the like vampire world and how she thinks that they're like essentially like dealing blood, kind of, if not like I feel like it's a bad explanation, but it's really good. I'm enjoying it. And the reason why I picked this book, the movie that I chose to go with this book is the Dracula Untold movie, which is one of my personal favorites, to be quite honest. out of all of the like vampire / Dracula type movies, media, whatever, TV shows, etc. that I've watched, which I've watched quite a few in my lifetime, I really love the take on the like common tale of Dracula that the Dracula Untold movie takes. And that's kind of why I paired it with this book, was because it's kind of like that not your ordinary type of tale take on vampires and Dracula specifically. So yeah, that's
cool.
my movie.
I do love Dracula.
Yes.
I think Dracula's so, like, Dracula and Frankenstein are so classic, and the modern takes of both of those monsters is so much fun to explore.
Yes, absolutely. And there's like there's a plethora of it out there, right? So like you could watch a gajillion freaking movies, and you just, I mean, they're all like similar but different. And I don't know. I'm just a vampire type of girly in this, and this spooky season's very vampire forward for me. So yeah,
I love it. Very cool.
Yeah. What's your first book / movie?
Yeah, so I have 2 books that I haven't talked about yet on the podcast, but I really want to. So I think this is a great place to do it, because I really liked them, even though I read them both a couple years ago. But the first one's called The Other Black Girl by Zakiya Dalila Harris. And it is kind of like a thriller horror. I would say it's leaning more towards a thriller but the movie that I'm pairing this with is very much horror that is definitely a good movie to watch. But it's about this editorial assistant named Nella Rogers, who's the only black employee at her book publishing company called Wagner Books. And of course she feels isolated and fed up, and I think this place takes place in like maybe the early 2000s. It's been a while since I've read it, but I feel like it's a little bit sooner than current times, or a little bit older than current times. And lo and behold, they hire a new black editor named Hazel, who comes in and becomes the apple of everyone's eye in the editorial house. And Nella feels a little bit jaded by this. And so there's definitely some like office war that's happening between the two characters. It's definitely really interesting. It talks a lot about code switching, for individuals who code switch, which I think everybody does to a certain degree, but definitely, of course, people who are underrepresented. And I really, really liked it. It was such a great book, and it ended really interestingly. So I would definitely check it out. It's a book that got a lot of attention when it first came out, but I feel like it's kind of dwindled now, and I feel like it should go back into the public eye because it's really great. And I know there was a movie that came out based off the book, which I haven't read or haven't watched. So I'm not sure how good the movie is, but the book was really great. But the movie that I'm going to pair with this book is actually called Bad Hair, which is about basically the same thing, where you have a black female character and another black female character gets hired on, and she has this beautiful straight hair while the other character has kind of curly hair. And so she reveals her secret on how she gets straight hair. And lo and behold, the hair is a villain monster that's going to destroy everything. And it's kind of funny, but it also plays on the same theme of like code switching and having to like change your personality to fit in with white people, basically. And so I thought it was a good movie. It's kind of like on the funny horror spectrum, but it definitely has some social commentary to it. And then Other Black Girl also is in that realm. It's not so much funny, but it is very much like thriller horror. Yeah. And so I think those two books kind of pair well together.
Man, I have never heard of Bad Hair at all, so I'm now interested to go watch
It's on Hulu. I'm pretty sure it's still on Hulu. And it's quite the vibe for sure.
Yeah, I'll have to watch
and
it.
Hair, like your own hair attacking you, kind of weirds me out. So
that sounds terrifying.
Yeah, my wife and I watched it, and it was quite the movie for sure.
That's so, oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
And I do have to say, Yeah, it's good. I'll also throw in a movie that we watched, which doesn't really pair. It doesn't pair with this book at all, but I just want to be mad about it. It's called Oregon Trail, Organ Trail, which is such a great name.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it hasn't been used before. But the movie was basically a Western, like about a dude manipulating women and shooting at people.
Lame.
Which is like fine, but if you're going to use the name Oregon Trail, you need to be a cannibal or B an organ stealer. Like you can't use that name for this movie. Like you need to pick a different name. So I was really bummed by that. But we watched it the other day. It was also on Hulu. And I think I enjoyed it, but it didn't live up to the name.
Yeah. See, when I I hear the like phrase Oregon Trail, my brain immediately thinks of the Oregon Trail. So I was thinking it was going to be like a horror movie about like the Oregon Trail. Like dysentery type stuff, which I think would also make for a very good horror movie.
That would be cool.
Just saying.
Yeah. I just think of the video game, like straight up the video game. It's like your wife's dead from dysentery. It's like, oh, cool, great.
Aww.
I'm out of bullets. I'm starving to death. That's amazing. Yeah.
This is so tangy, but like, and I don't know if this is like just my school did it. I'm assuming not just my school did it, but we had like, in part of like when we were learning about the Oregon Trail, we had to make little journals and like make them like look like the olden times, like rip them up and stuff. And then every day, like when we would play the game, we had to write about like what our perspective would be like from a person living on the trail as we like endured all these like horrible, awful things. I thought it was like a really cool thing at the time. It's kind of sad when you think about it as an adult. You're like, dang, you're making kids so I can write about their like wife and children dying. That's fucked. But it was really fun.
I remember that. I remember playing the game for sure because our game memory was saved on floppy disks. And so we each had the like whatever 3.5 inch floppy disks, and that was probably the only time I used floppy disks before they went obsolete. But that's what I remember the most, is having to take my floppy disk, and it was like a thing where each one of us had our own name alphabetically, and I had to go get mine and then put it in the machine. Like, it was amazing.
We played it a little differently because we had like the main game as like a prompt, and then we had like one of those, oh my god, the freaking projectors, like the old school ones with like the like clear like film that you had to put.
That you would write on. Yeah,
and then like our teacher would stand up at the front and be like, this is what happened today, like, and then we'd like roll dice and shit. Like, yeah, it was kind of
we actually played the video game, and I don't remember if all of it, there's no way there was enough computers in the classroom for all of us to play at once, but I think like maybe a few of us would play at a time, and then like we'd rotate through, and we would just watch people die. But I don't remember if we had to write a journal, but I do remember like making paper look older for something. I just don't remember if it was for that or for something else, but I do remember that.
Hell yeah. Oregon Trail. Ugh.
Oregon Trail. So hopefully you can make a movie with that name again and make it legit, because it was not what I thought it was going to be. Hailey, what's your second pick for today?
So my second pick, the book is called, it's a really good book, like, and I think you would love it. It's called A Storm in the Darkness by Sarah M. Cradit. I think it's Cradit. So I have to read the synopsis because I'm gonna butcher what this book is about. So this is gonna sound so weird, but like when I was reading it, it almost felt like a dream that I had while I was reading. It was a very strange thing that happened while I was reading. It was so good. And I didn't, that's the other thing. I did not know that this was like a scary book or like a thriller type book until I was reading it, and I was like, oh shit. Did not expect that to come.
Those are the best.
Darkness. And there is like a little bit of not scariness, but like what's the word? Like, not scariness. What is the word that I'm looking for? It's got like some mild, what the hell is that called? Like gore, but not gore. I don't know.
Body horror?
Yeah, but no, like, violence. That's where I was like, why is my brain? Listen, my brain is real bad.
I'm tuning in. Like, you talk about violence, I'm in.
So, the description is, Anna Deschanel has made a terrible mistake. The only chance of protecting the other people involved is to flee New Orleans, the only home she has ever known, for the quiet solitude of Summer Island. Summer Island, Maine, population 202, is not the tranquil escape Anna imagined. The locals are distant and cold, especially her neighbor, the reclusive veterinarian Jonathan St. Andrews. Her only lifeline is the kind but odd caretaker Alex Whitman. Showing up at all the right moments, he warns her she is completely unprepared for a Maine winter. As the first winter storm approaches to whispers of an island shutdown, Anna realizes that she may soon be cut off from the rest of the world. After a surprising encounter with Jonathan's brother Finn, Anna finds herself braving the storm to return something to him. Unprepared for the Maine storm, Maine, I like this, like Maine, not M-A-I-N.
Not the state?
No, Maine the state.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Maine the state. Okay.
She slips and falls onto the jagged rocks along the shore. The St. Andrews brothers find her in the nick of time, but she remains unconscious. As the storm worsens, the St. Andrews brothers learn there are other, more sinister forces at work, closer than they ever imagined. With no help from the outside world, they must find a way to protect themselves from both the storm and the growing darkness that looms across the island.
Oh, that sounds good.
It's so good. You would love it.
Good. I think I would love it. You're right.
You would totally love it. And like, so I can't really think of like a specific, like movie or show outside of like the book. When I was reading it, gave very much like Haunting of Hill House kind of like vibes.
I was thinking that.
Yeah. It, like,
which is such a great show.
Good.
Like, you're talking about the show,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. The show's good. I mean, the book Haunting of Hill House is good too, but the show is very different from the book. And yeah, I totally think your vibes match up. It sounds totally like Haunting of Hill House for sure.
Yeah, and there's like another aspect that I won't spoil, that like you find out later in the book that you're like, oh, holy shit, it's so much worse than it actually like was.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really good. That's like, it's
that.
got like the spooky vibes. Like, I know it's set in winter time, but I feel like because it's in Maine and like, you know, small town type of situation, it's very good. And I can't believe I haven't talked
winter
about it on the podcast.
Yeah, I can't either. It sounds really good.
Yeah.
Winter is like a good setting for spooky because everything's dead and it's eerily quiet. Like, winter is scary if you're not in a house. Like, if you think about animals out in the winter, like, it's scary. So I do love a good winter horror book and a Maine horror book, which I was thinking about that when you mentioned Maine. Would we think Maine is scary if Stephen King didn't write Maine books all the time? Like, I don't know if Maine would be so iconically scary if it wasn't for Stephen King. Yeah. But Maine is very scary.
Now that you mention that, like, I literally never put that, like, two and two together. I'm like, oh yeah, Maine. Huh. No, but that does make sense. Because it's not... I'd say it gives, like, to me, like, from an outside perspective, it seems more like it gives, like, Massachusetts type vibes. But yeah, because of, like,
I think that's
all
true.
the spookiness that's been written about it or in it, it does give spooky vibes. You're right.
Like, when I think of Maine, I think of, like, It.
Yeah.
And, like, Stephen King, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, iconic state.
Yeah.
I love this book. It sounds super up my alley. I'm definitely going to look for this and put it on hold because I think I'm gonna super love it.
I think you'll super love it too.
And I've never heard of it before until today, so like I'm really excited.
I literally think that it was another one of those things, and I think I'm listing both of these books that I'm saying today. I think were both finds that I found on my free iPhone book.
Oh hell yeah!
Whatever.
I love that.
Yeah, and like. It just kind of happenstance. And I think that Dating Dracula is part of a series, so which I think I forgot to mention.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yes. That's my book. And my movie. Or kind of.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. media, like horror media.
Yeah.
Totally. I love Haunting of Hill House, so it definitely
good.
counts.
So good.
Mike Flanagan making great content for sure. I think it's been a few years, but I love
very good.
The Fall of House of Usher.
Yes.
Is that the one with all the Poe stories? That was really good.
I think so.
That was really good.
Very good.
Yeah.
What's your second one?
Well, it's funny that we mentioned Maine and Stephen King because I'm kind of cheating here a little bit. But I really want to talk about this book. And I kind of realized my books have kind of a theme, which I didn't really plan on until I'm just realizing it. But the book I'm mentioning is a book that I read last year, I think. And I loved it. And I just have not talked about it enough. So I want to talk about it more. It's called The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson, who I think all of her books are kind of like YA horror retellings. I read another one that reminded me of Haunting of Hill House, the book, which I should look up and see what the name of that book is called because it's not on the top of my head. It was, White Smoke. It was called White Smoke. It was kind of like a Haunting of Hill House retelling, but not really. But it was super good. I highly recommend it. The book I'm mentioning today is called The Weight of Blood by Tiffany Jackson. And it is a full-on Carrie retelling. And we've talked about how much I love Stephen King on the podcast. Carrie was the first book I read of his, first book he published. It is an iconic piece of horror media. The book, the movies, there's been multiple movies made, multiple like retellings. This one is so good. It is about this kind of the same story. A poor girl in high school, except this character is black. Her father is white and he had slept with a black woman. And I don't know if it's ever revealed, but her mom's not in the picture. And her father is ashamed of her color of her skin and how curly her hair is. And so she's forced to hide it by straightening her hair every week. And she's the social outcast, just like the typical Carrie was. And things take a turn like you would expect in a Carrie-esque novel. And I absolutely loved this book. It was so good. I felt so bad for this character. I felt so bad for the original Carrie character. There's something about like a girl like being a social outcast in high school where she has no friends and her parents are terrible, horrible like house life, home life. That just like totally rings at my heartstrings. And Weight of Blood like totally leans into that. It was so good. I listened to it on audiobook and I literally made myself walk more because I just wanted to listen to the book more often.
Oh yeah.
So I recommend checking it out if you're a big Carrie fan. And I'm going to pair this with the Carrie movie because the OG, the 1976 movie, because I love that movie. Sissy Spacek kills it. It is literally just a gem of a movie. It's definitely dated, but the vibe is unmatched. Like watching, the scene that I remember the most is the scene where she's getting tampons thrown at her in the shower because she started her period. She didn't know what it was. And then it cuts to like a bunch of track guys running around in the shortest shorts imaginable with no shirts on. It's like, what are we doing here?
Man, you're like, what is going on?
But yeah, Sissy Spacek, John Travolta's in that movie. Like, it is
he really?
iconic.
Holy shit.
He is. Yeah, he's one of like the villain characters. And yeah, it's just such a great book or great movie, great book. Weight of Blood's a great book. So yeah, watch Carrie again. Like watch the OG Carrie because it's good. Yeah, it's really good.
Now I want to. I don't remember if I watched the OG one or like maybe a remake. But wait, did Hayden Panettiere ever do a Carrie?
I think so. I think she did. Like, yeah, I think she did do one. Because I want to say there's been like 2 or 3 redones.
I have like
and even like a sequel or something.
Okay, because I feel like I remember watching a Carrie movie with her in it, but I wasn't sure. But I do vividly have like ingrained into my brain the like part where the like, you know, spoilers, I guess, the like bucket of blood gets like thrown onto her, and it like it's forever like ingrained in my memory of like the like thing, the face and the like gesture that she makes where she's like freaking out that like, what the hell did I just get dropped on me, and she like holds her hands up, and she's like, ah, and she screams. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the story of Carrie is iconic, and it's hard to ignore at this time of year. So I had to throw in basically a Stephen King book, because I feel like he doesn't need help with us. But yeah, like I had to bring one up. Yeah. So this is my way of cheating. But I have to say, Weight of Blood, Tiffany Jackson, you're killing it. Thank you so much for writing that book. I absolutely adored it. It was so good. I'm looking forward to whatever you come out with, because I've enjoyed everything I've read by you so far, and you have so much more books that I haven't read. So you're doing good work here. So we appreciate it.
We love to hear it. That's amazing. I love when like we find authors and we're like, yeah, no, I'm gonna read the whole anything that they have. I'm reading it.
Yep. Absolutely. Cool. Do you have anything else you want to mention before we jump into the end scene here?
Honorable mention to Goosebumps, just in general.
Oh God, the vibes of Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Movie and a book. What more do you want?
That's so true.
Truly.
Yeah, and like, did you watch the Fear Street movies?
You know, that sounds really familiar. I might have.
I didn't read the books. They're also R.L. Stine books, but there's 3 movies, Fear Street, and they're very much, I think they span like 93, maybe 73, and then like 16, like 93 or something like that. And they're really good. We really liked them. My wife and I watched all 3. So yeah, those are good too.
I'll have to look those up because they sound really familiar. But I don't know about you, but we had like or our listeners either. We had a movie rental place, and I was a big fan of the Goosebumps books. And we had they were like so read and well used and worn from our library, like our school library had them.
Yeah.
Shout out to them for carrying those. And I would bring one home, and then I would go to our like local DVD movie rental place because they had VHS and DVDs, and I would rent a Goosebumps, like the old school Goosebumps movies, and like watch and read and have myself like a little spooky session. It's great.
I love it.
Yeah.
So funny story. When I was in like middle school, whatever, when people were reading Goosebumps, I thought they were too scary. Like the covers.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
Like the covers just grossed me out. Yeah. And I maybe read like 2 out of however many there were, which is so weird because now I read so much horror that is way worse than Goosebumps. But like when I was in like middle school, I was like, this is kind of creepy. Like fingers on a like whatever. I mean, I can't even remember the covers, but like slime or something. Like, I was like, it just grossed me out.
Well, some of them, and maybe I'm confusing them with like the DVD covers, but I swear that some of them were like, what's the word? Were they raised? Were like the letterings raised?
Yeah, no, they definitely were. They definitely were. Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad I remember that correctly.
At least that's what I remember too, because I do remember that.
Yeah, I specifically remember the movie that I watched. I don't remember if I also read the book, but the movie that I watched, the one was about like the crazy scientist's dad, I think.
Oh.
And he had like a monstrous plant thing that like I'm assuming ate people. I really don't remember what all happened. To be quite honest, I just remember the scene where like they're like shutting the basement because he like had like a basement that he was working in, and there was like vines coming out or some goddamn thing. I can't remember. It's been so long. This is literally like elementary school for me, so like
forever ago.
Literally. Like, but yeah, that forever lives in my head.
It's funny how like the books you read as a kid stick with you for so long. Like I can definitely remember like Boxcar Kids scenes and the Series of Unfortunate Events scenes. I'll never forget those scenes.
Series of Unfortunate Events. Also honorable mention because
it's also a spooky vibe. Like I was just thinking about that. Yeah, like the artwork is beautiful in those books. Like I love the artwork in those books.
Yes, and the tales and the like, what's gonna happen next? The mystery of it all. Amazing.
Super good. Super good. All right. Well, listeners, I want you to do me a favor And I want you to email me what spooky books / movies you're excited about for spooky season, because I really want more book recommendations and I really want more movie recommendations. So please email us. Our email is booksandbeespod@gmail.com. Our Instagram is @booksandthebeespod. You can Instagram us as well, or I guess it's DM. That's the way we say it. For normal people, you can DM us and let us know what books you're reading for this time of year, because it's such a good time of year. I know we're like basically a romance podcast, book podcast, but we got to take a break and do some spooky stuff. But there's great spooky romance books out there too. So let's hear those too. And of course, if you have the opportunity, we would love it if you would give us a review on your podcast listening app, whether that be Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever other podcast apps are out there. It really does help us, because that's how we get more listeners. That's how we get author interviews, things like that we really want to do. It'll help us if we have the reviews. So please, please, please give us those reviews. They're free to you. They take about 10 seconds tops. And they're great. So thank you very much for doing that. And we also want to give a shout to the American Indie for their song Rendezvous. It's the intro and outro to our podcast. It is a bop. I, in fact, love it. And they're doing great stuff. So go check them out on Spotify.
Hell yeah.
Yay. Well, we hope you enjoyed this literary journey as much as we did. If you're buzzing with excitement, don't forget to subscribe, email us, and leave a high 5-worthy review on your podcast listening app. Until next time, happy reading, and may your shelves be filled with tales as enchanting as a blooming garden. Keep the buzz alive, and we'll catch you next chapter. Bye for now. Bye.